welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Jelly Bean's channel, where I'm your ghost. I'm your co-host, Alita. These are some of my books, and this is his channel. So for today's Wacky Wednesday, the theme was, sorry Bella. The theme is, couples, like fictional couples that you can't help but love. So I had more couples than I thought I wanted to talk about. I only had a few in mind, and then I started going through my shelves, and I'm like, okay, I have quite a few. So I'm going to try and keep this simple and sweet and not talk too much, but I am Alita, and I do like to talk. I like to hear myself talk. So, the first recommendation for couples that I love, I'm going to recommend a whole series, but then I'm going to talk more specifically about one book in particular. Okay? So, I'm going to talk about the Happily Ever After playlist series. I don't know the name of the series. I think it's the Happily Ever After playlist series, but there's the Happily Ever After playlist by Abby Heminsey, the Friend Zone by Abby Heminsey. I'm going to strangle this dog and then I'll be right back. And then I also have Life's Too Short by Abby Heminsey. This series is amazing if you like romance series. But I'm specifically going to be talking about Life's Too Short by Abby Heminsey. This is the third in the trilogy, I think. But you follow Vanessa and Adrian. So Vanessa just quit her job to pursue a YouTube career. And I love her independence. She's such an independent queen. But then her next door neighbor, Adrian, Vanessa's sister leaves a baby basically at her doorstep, and she's like, I'm not ready to be a mom, so take care of my kid for me. Thanks, bye. And she took off. So the first night that the baby's there, her neighbor, Adrian, who is also a lawyer, he's up because the baby's crying and Vanessa doesn't know how to take care of a baby. And so he goes over there and he's like, okay, let me help you. And, it's like a very slow burn, sweet romance. She wants to be very independent because there's a reason for it, but I can't tell you because of spoilers. But if you just want a super sweet romance, don't pick up Life's Too Short, because there's actually some really tough things in here. And that's one of the reasons that I love it, because Adrian and Vanessa go through some hard stuff. They go through life together. And it was just a very slow burn romance. And at first I wasn't even sure about him, but I automatically knew that she was a hard worker. And I think I saw a lot of me in Vanessa, because I'm a hard worker and I try to be very independent and get my stuff done on my own time. I don't want to listen to nobody who's gonna boss me around. But in all seriousness, this book was so perfect. It does have a lot to say and it packs a punch, but Adrian and Vanessa are just they are so opposite. Like, she is more live in the moment, get your work done so that you can go play and, you know, have a life and have fun. And he's more work, and don't plan or don't care about tomorrow because you only have today. But she's kind of just like, no, you got to live every moment. And they're very opposite. I don't think I said that very well, but they're very opposite, but I love them together. The next one, I haven't read the entire series. I've only read the first book, so I can't recommend the whole series, but I am going to recommend Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. So Chloe Brown has fibromyalgia, and she's kind of grumpy because she's in pain a lot, and you can't help but love her because she's a grump and she tells it how it is. But then you have Red. His name is Redford, but he goes by Red because of his big red hair. And they like hate each other at the beginning of this book, but I didn't really believe the hate. I did like the banter in here. The banter between Chloe and Red was so on par. It was so cute. And I love that Red is the sunshine. Like, he's always super optimistic, and he just wants the best for everyone, including Chloe. And somehow they just fall madly in love. And this one was really, really cute. And I do really love the representation for fibromyalgia and pain management. Alright, then we have this chunker. This huge chunker, which is like 554 pages. This is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Naomi and Knox. Oh, I love them. So, Knox is like, okay, let me back up. This is a small town romance where Naomi goes to the small town to pick up her sister on her wedding day, on Naomi's wedding day. And Tina ends up stealing her car and leaving Naomi with an 11-year-old girl that she didn't even know existed. And this found family trope is so cute. But Naomi gets to the town, and there's a picture of her on the diner wall saying "Do not serve," but it's her twin sister Tina, and she has to convince Knox that she is not Tina, that Tina is the evil twin, and that she's not evil. And he's like, yeah, likely story. And he's very much a grump. And I really liked him because he tried to be such a tough guy, but he was really such a marshmallow. And I just love Marshmallow Knox. And sweet Naomi, I mean, Naomi's kind of naive, to be honest with you. But she's very sweet, and she's very loyal. She'll do anything for the one she loves, even if those people, like Tina, have, like, hurt her in the past. She will still go to the ends of the earth for the people that she loves. And she eventually does love Knox, and she will go to the ends of the earth for him. And he acts like a big tough guy, but he's such a marshmallow that he would do anything for Naomi. Not for anyone in the world, but Naomi, he's got Naomi's back. He's got her. But it was just, it was so good. So I highly recommend that. I guess I can just gush about these books. So let the gushing keep going. Let the gushing commence. Yeah, there we go. This is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. something that you should realize about most of the romances that I have to talk about are they're emotional romances, and they might break your heart because that's the kind of reader I am. I love to get my heart broken. Please don't tell anyone that. Don't tell my husband. He might literally break my heart. But I love to read books in which my heart gets damaged and is never the same. So in this, you follow Kala, who is trying to connect with her father because her parents got divorced when she was really young. And the plan was for him to go to, I think, Canada, to be kind of with them. But he stayed in Alaska because he has a plane business. He has an airport and he owns some planes, and the pilots work for him and everything. And his life was in Alaska, so she never really got to know her dad too well. She, knew him a little bit, but she ends up going to Alaska when she's like 20. She's somewhere between the ages of 18 and 22. But she goes there so that she can be with her dad because he's dying of cancer. And so you have that family drama. You have that kind of coming of age with her father. But more than that, Kala meets Jonah. And Jonah immediately hates her because she's like a Cali, or not a Cali girl, but I mean, she's like a valley girl. She acts like a valley girl. So, she's got her high heels, her mini dress, she just looks like a valley girl. There's nothing wrong with that, but she's in this small town in Alaska where they need to go, get your water out of a well, and it's like survivalist style, and she didn't bring anything for that because that's not in her wheelhouse. So Jonah and Kala just kind of get off to the wrong foot, and they start bickering, and then slowly you realize that Jonah is such a loyal person because he wanted to hate Kala so badly because he didn't know the whole story. He just knew that Kala hadn't really been there for her dad, Ren. And he was mad at her for that because he's been taking care of Ren for a while. And he's just like, well, now you're just coming in just for the inheritance or whatever. And it was such a fun, heartbreaking, emotional romance. And seeing Kala break down Jonah's walls that he had built up was just so good. I have an LGBT recommendation. This one is Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. So you follow Delilah and London has just come out as non-binary on national TV because London and Delilah are competing on this food show, competition show, and I absolutely loved everything from the atmosphere of the cooking show to the rivalry to the love. London was 100% London. London stayed true to who London was the whole time. Delilah, she got off course maybe, but she went back to London, and it was a lot of fun. It was great. That one just makes me smile. I am a big guilty pleasure watcher of the cooking shows, any cooking show. That was a food show in book format with a relationship too. And then I'm recommending The Kiss Question by Helen Wong. This is a series. Personally, I loved the first one, and the other two were fine, but this one was by far my favorite. And this follows Stella and Michael. So, Stella is such a quirky character because the author and Stella, they both have Asperger's, and you can read her quirks. Like, I can feel her quirks as I'm reading this book. And that was just so good. It wasn't just like her describing her quirks. I felt like I was living her quirks. And that was phenomenal. But then you have Michael, who she hires. Hold on. Get out of my room. Don't come back. Let me try that again. Then you have Michael, who Stella hires to be her, like, escort and teach her the bedroom things. And then they just, like, fall in love, and he's so patient with her. And, like, even with all of her quirks, he's like, no, you're perfect. It's okay. Like, we'll take it slow. We'll do what you need. And tell me how I can be how can I be helpful in this situation for you? And, like, their communication was just so on par. Sometimes you read these romances and their communication is just atrocious. There we go. So there's Olive and Ethan, who are arch nemesis. So, you know, hate to love might be one of my favorite things ever. But Olive is Amy's twin sister, and Amy got married to Ethan's brother. But then they all got food poisoning. So Amy convinces Olive and Ethan to take her honeymoon. That's why it's the unhoneymooners. So it's a fake honeymoon. But, like, this one, if I'm being honest with you, does have that kind of miscommunication trope. But I think it works in this book. I like how Olive is more adventurous, and she's kind of a free spirit. She wants to go have fun, and Ethan is more relaxed. Let's chill on the beach or at the pool, and I'll read my book. And I just thought that they are very much opposites, because she likes to go experience things and he kind of just likes to chill, and she has no chill. But I absolutely loved them as a couple. This is one of my comfort reads, so I think I've read it 5 or 6 times, something like that. And then our other Christina Lauren book is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Josh and Hazel are just so perfect. Like, Hazel is kind of quirky, kind of crazy, and she wants to have all these off-the-wall adventures, while Josh is more strict, like, stick in the mud type. And, like, Hazel just brings out the fun in him, because without Hazel, he would not go on any fun adventures, and he wouldn't put himself out there or do anything. This one is friends to lovers and kind of second chance romance. And I just love everything. Honestly, Hazel and I are like, we are the same. We are 2 peas in a pod. And my husband is kind of like Josh. He's very much a stick in the mud. He doesn't like to have a lot of fun unless I, like, force him or, like, get his craziness out. Those are some of my favorite times, though. We have 4 left. So, You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. In this, you have Naomi and Nicholas, who have been together for 7 years. I don't remember. They've been together for a while. They're planning their wedding. And you start the book as the reader who's getting to know them, and you really, really feel... I felt like their fighting and their arguing was more like prank war style. And I felt like they were the cool kids on YouTube that you want to be like. Even though you know that everything on YouTube is like fake. I mean, it's not all fake, but you know, those big YouTubers that stage most of their stuff and script it out and everything. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's very entertaining. I love it. But most of that stuff is not real. It's all scripted. And this felt very scripted to me, if that makes sense, in that moment. But I really, really loved it. It was hilarious. It made me laugh out loud. And Naomi and Nicholas are both so funny and such strong characters on their own. But they were kind of lost, or at least I felt like they were lost. And when they finally came back together as like a couple and everything, it was just the sweetest thing ever. It was like slowly you could see from her perspective, from Naomi, you could be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that. And from Nicholas, oh my gosh, she cares about me, she made me dinner. That type of thing. And like, it was just small little changes in each other, but I felt it deep in my bones. And it was just so good. It was so good. Alright, and then this one is Eliza and Graham. This is Do I Know You by Emily Wipperly and Austin Stigman Broca. They are a married couple in real life. And they write romance together. And it's the only thing I've read by them so far, but I do want to read more of their backlist. But unless you follow Eliza and Graham. Eliza and Graham. Oh, that's right. I know what this is about. Do I Know You is about their like 7-year honeymoon. 5 or 7 or something like that. It's not important. They're on this anniversary trip, and there was a problem at the hotel where they accidentally gave them 2 rooms, and instead of fixing it, they spend their anniversary in 2 separate rooms. So then when Graham goes out to the bar, he meets this friend, and they become very close friends, or very fast friends. And then Eliza comes out, and friend, I think his name is David, was like, hey, Graham, have you met Eliza? Eliza, have you met Graham? And they played it off as they didn't know each other. So from there, they're like, yeah, nice to meet you. And then they come up with these game, or with all these rules for their anniversary trip. And it was like, oh, okay, so every day we're going to go on a different date. And it's going to be like getting to know you again. But the relationship is kind of on the rocks because they've been married for so long. And it's just kind of like, it almost seems like it might be the end of their relationship, their marriage. And it was just so sweet. Like, again, it was kind of like with You Deserve Each Other. It was like those little moments that were just like, oh. And then this, in Do I Know You, you get both Graham and Eliza's perspective. And it was really interesting because Eliza would tell you what happened for their date, and you would understand what she was thinking and everything, but then it would go to Graham, and you would understand what he was thinking and why he wouldn't just hold her hand or go in for a kiss, and you would understand why Eliza didn't either. And it was just Like, it really showed me how a marriage can dissolve with the unstated words that you think. I don't know if that made sense or not, but it made sense in my head. Okay, these last three are not exactly romances. They're more hard-hitting contemporaries. But if these couples were not on my list, then it would be a lie. So, we're going to go with Josiah and Yasmin in Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This was a beautiful, heart-wrenching book in which you follow Josiah and Yasmin, who have been divorced for 2 years, but they're still trying to figure out how to raise their kids together and how to run their business together, even though they're not, like, together, but they need to be on that, like, friendly terms. And Yasmin is having a lot of problems moving on from her marriage because in her world, Josiah, yeah, he is her one and only. He is her forever. And Josiah is finally starting to date again since the marriage ended. And that was particularly hard for Yasmin. And it was just, this is a very messy, very mundane, day-to-day emotional book. Yeah. And I just love them. I love them together. I love them together. And do check the trigger warnings if you do pick this book up, because there's a lot of things that are talked about in here. Alright. Then we have, these two are both on the same level. I think they were both my favorite books of 2022. So there's All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover and After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So we'll start with After I Do. This follows Lauren and Ryan, who have been married for 5 years. And things are getting hard. And, you know, they don't really feel like the other person loves them. So they decide that on paper they're going to stay married, but they are going to separate for 1 year. They cannot email each other, they cannot text, they cannot call, and they can't show up at the other person's house. In fact, Lauren doesn't even know where Ryan lives anymore. Like, she knows what city, but she doesn't know where his apartment is. And they're not allowed to communicate for the whole entire year. So you follow both of them. I think you follow mostly from Lauren's perspective. Yeah, you follow mostly from Lauren's perspective about what went wrong in their marriage and about, do they even still love each other? And you kind of get those moments of, oh my gosh, I'm so lonely. Like, where's my person? I can't, like, pick up my phone and call him because he's not my person right now. And it's just scary and sad and terrible. But I love Ryan. And I love Lauren. And together, like, it really does show how together you can conquer the world. And, like, how marriage is hard work. A lot of people are just like, oh, you get married and then that's that. You're happily ever after. As a married woman, I can tell you that is not the case. There are many times where I just want to, like, but I don't. Because I mostly love my husband. I really do love him. But, you know, I mean, every marriage has its problems. It's not always hunky-dory all the time. So then we're talking about All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This is Quinn and Graham, I believe. Yeah. Quinn. So Quinn and Graham have also been married for a while. 7 years later. Yeah, 7 years ago. So they've been together they've been married for 7 years. And their marriage is on the rocks because Quinn is having trouble getting pregnant. And Graham has always said that he wants kids. And because it seems like she's infertile, and like, I would definitely check all the trigger warnings. This is something that is really close to my heart. I don't think I'm gonna be able to have kids, and it's really hard to read about. It's really hard, and it's just describing their tense marriage now that they can't have what they want more than anything in this world, which is a child. But throughout their hardships, one or both of them really learn what's really important to them. Yeah, they want kids really badly, but is it worth giving up the relationship, the marriage that they had? And, like, everything comes at a cost, but what's the price that you're willing to pay? And I just thought that this was such a heart-wrenching book. But this couple was just, they were perfect for each other, even in the hard times. So, there's that. But those are all the bookish couples that I have to recommend to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to Bella's channel, because Bella's right here. My channel, really. I will see you in the next video. There might not be a review video on Friday this week because I haven't been reading anything. I've been more focused on moving and everything like that. I guess we will see if I finish a book within the next few days, but I might just cool it with the review Friday for maybe a couple weeks, a few weeks. It depends on how much reading I start getting to do now that we're almost settled, but not quite. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye.